Wow. 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 Check this out, just way up here on the rocks, as I often am. And you who's with me here right now. Are you with me right here, right now? Do you feel me? Can you open up your heart and allow what's coming through to come through? Instead of being pushed up against your projections and just watching, can you open up and allow? Because it'll make all the difference in the world. And if you're here spending time with me, your time will be most valuable if you can open up, take a breath, relax, feel me. And so this journey of awakening that you are most likely on, if you're watching this video, if you are with me in this time, it's most likely because you're experiencing a shift in your own life and a desire to broaden your horizons and to become more fully who you are, to step into a new state of being. You know, you're feeling the weight of the world, you're feeling the weight of the pressures of your relationships and of your circumstances, your job, your kids, your parents, your spouse, your romantic partner, whoever that is, or whatever they are. You just feel constrained. And when you start to turn the focus into your heart and start to live from there, when you make that shift to where you know, hey, I am best off always when I'm living out of what feels right for me, and I'm making choices based on what my intuition tells me, even when everyone around me is accusing me of being mean or crazy or weird, or they're shunning you. You know, that's what happens. I've seen this theme over and over and over again in my own journey. And ultimately what I've seen is that it's just what human beings do. It's how human beings, the human animal, it's like an innate coping mechanism that we have in our species. And it's not really conscious, although when it's called out, it can very easily become conscious. And what the pattern is when you decide to do something out of what feels right for you and it upsets people around you, maybe your best friend, maybe your sister, maybe your mom, maybe your dad, somebody. What other people do when they don't like the way that your choices or your words affect them is they tend to turn away from you and kind of withhold their attention. One name for it is like giving the cold shoulder. And sometimes it's really overt, meaning that like you can, you know, they're visibly like in your space and like just ignoring you or turning on you. And that's, you know, kind of a visible cold shoulder. I used to do that to my friends and people all the time when I was young. And it's so wrong, because it's basically saying, because you're not acting the way that I want you to act, I'm going to withdraw my attention from you, and I'm essentially going to shun you and abandon you. And what it is, it's in the hopes, and this is the part that's not necessarily conscious for people when they do it, but it's essentially trying to force you back into their space on their terms, that you'll come back and apologize, that you'll come back and be more the way that they want you to be. You know, and it's a pattern that's really seen really clearly in communities where there's like a cultish atmosphere, culture. You know, what comes to mind right now is the Amish. You know, I went to college at Messiah College in central Pennsylvania, outside of Harrisburg, and about 45 minutes up the road is a pretty well-known town called Lancaster. And Lancaster and the surrounding areas has a really large Amish population. And if you don't know anything about Amish people, essentially, from what I do know, which is not a ton, is it is based in Christianity, based on the Bible, but their kind of core belief or notion that they operate from is that technology, modern day technology and electricity and anything modern it should not be used. So they have their horses and their buggies driving down the side of the road as all the cars are flying by. They don't use electricity, and they wear kind of old-fashioned clothes and bonnets and dresses. It's very, very, very old-fashioned and primitive in a sense. And from what I know of the Amish culture, they give their teenagers a chance to what they call sow their wild oats. And at a certain age, they let their teenagers kind of go free to do whatever they want. And they go out and they sow their wild oats. They might get into drinking or drugs or having sex or, you know, all the things that teenagers want to explore and want to do. Okay, and then the expectation is that once they've done that, they've gotten it out of their system, and then they'll come back into the community, the Amish community. And the Amish community doesn't really interact with the outside community other than just to do business. You know, a lot of them do woodworking, or they make quilts and things like that, and then they sell their stuff to keep themselves, you know, afloat and going. But they don't really interact socially with people outside the Amish community. And so what happens is when the kids come back into the fold, they're back in, and they're in, you know, essentially in the cults. You know, they would never refer to it as a cult. But if those kids or anyone that's a part of the community decides to not come back or to not believe and keep the same beliefs and live the way that they are living, they have a very strict shunning policy. So they shun. I mean, literally, they just cut them off. You know, like you've probably heard the phrase, kind of like the Italian mafia, from what I know, is like famous, you know, in New York, for kind of saying like, you're dead to me. Like if somebody's cut off, you're dead to me. Like I will treat you like essentially like you're dead. And from what I understand, that's what the Amish do. And it's so harsh, and it's so the opposite of love. But see, that's what happens when someone has a mindset that believes that they have things figured out and that they know the right way to live and the right way to be, and that other people's ways of living and being, if they're different, are wrong, and they deserve literally to be treated as though they're dead, shunned. And really what they hope is that shunning pressure will keep the people in the community so that they don't lose them. And that ultimately, it comes from a very primal, human, innate instinct, which is, you know, humans run on a survival program, as I often talk about. It's all really about safety, and the more human connection that a human being has, ultimately that's like the most safety, because if there was some type of attack from an enemy or from animals or something like that, the more connection, the more people, the more people there are to help protect the tribe or the community. And so that shunning, it's done in an effort to play on the abandonment fears of someone who's getting shunned, because it feels so bad to have people that you love and that you're connected to turn on you. And so that force generally keeps people in the fold. Okay? And that's how I define a cult, is any organization or any group of people where if you ask questions about the beliefs, or you raise questions, or you kind of say, hey, maybe there's other ways to think about this, and you challenge, or you consider stepping outside of it, if there's a lot of pressure from everyone, you know, they essentially will shun you if you don't stay in, or they'll disown you, or cut you off, or turn on you. You know, that is what a cult is. A group of people connecting over a certain way of looking at things, certain belief system, certain lens, and then if someone steps outside of that or raises certain questions that make everyone uncomfortable, they kick them out, or they punish them or something like that. And in this journey of awakening, as you go through your process, you will have to deal with that pattern. So when you take these new steps to be yourself and to live out of your freedom, to speak your truth, to only do things that feel right to you, to only go to events that feel right to you, to only engage in conversations that intuitively feel right to you, to say no to things that don't feel right to you, it triggers so much discomfort in the people around you. Okay? And when that discomfort gets triggered, what people do, as I've been describing, is they essentially turn, and then they, you know, might not call you, they might not text you, or they're just kind of like waiting for you, and they're kind of playing on that they'll, turn on you in the hopes that you'll feel abandoned and you'll feel upset, and that you'll come back to them and connect with them on their terms. Okay, but what is the beauty of it and the way through it all, okay, it's going to happen, is that when you sense that energy from people, when they turn and people start to give you the cold shoulder or whatever they do to put pressure on you to conform and stay as you were, to stay in the old version of yourself, all that discomfort that comes up, you need to get alone in silence, lay down or sit down, and you need to be tuned into the feelings in your body. Because when you get scared, when you get upset, it's just a buzz of strong, dense energy that's coming up, that's getting triggered. It's fears that's getting triggered in your body. And it's your body essentially saying, oh no, you're going to get abandoned. You know, it's like this primal thing. But when you lay and you feel it, you be with, that's your inner child that just wants your attention, and you be with it even though it's so uncomfortable. And as you can do that and be with it more and more and more, that's when your freedom starts to gain more and more and more. And then less and less do you get affected by it when people do that, okay? It doesn't mean that you don't love them. It doesn't mean that you still want to be in a relationship with them. It doesn't mean you can't listen to other people, that you can't respect other people, or that you can't hear how other people feel. But what you're doing is you're letting people's manipulation and control and ability to get you to conform by putting relational pressure on you or abandoning you. You are gaining your freedom. Because this whole journey of awakening is about becoming free so that you can live freely, be fully yourself, and you always know, no matter what anyone else says, that your best place to be. You are always at your best when you are being authentic in each moment, and you are doing what feels right to you always. And it's hard, it's a process, it takes a long time, you know, step by step by step. But you can get there, and I'm here to support you and encourage you and to tell you it's a crazy, wild ride, and I've seen some crazy stuff in my awakening experience, and woo, but the light at the end of the tunnel is really bright, and it is so worth it. So I'm here to say, keep going, stay true to yourself. No one else can do it for you, okay? Whenever your stuff gets triggered or you get stirred up, just know the best place to be is laying in silence and feeling the feelings in your body. Sometimes it's really hard when it's overwhelming because your mind's like thoughts are spinning, worry is spinning, and you're like feeling like you need to do something in order to quell that discomfort, okay? And that's why people do, you know, react, and they do things to try to quell that. You know, they lash out, make calls, and, you know, get in fights and whatever. But like when you get that stuff stirred up, you just relax and you feel them through it. Okay, I've talked about it so many times, and I'll continue to always talk about it because it is the main facet of your awakening. You be yourself, and then you deal with the emotions as they come up. You deal with the conflict as it comes up in your life, and you deal with it by feeling through it. And you got to get tuned in. When I say that, if you don't know what I'm talking about, most people don't. Most people are numb. Most people are unconscious of the feelings that are going on in them. And that might be you. It probably is, because in my experience and all the work that I've done with people and people that I interact with on a daily basis, most people, they talk about feelings and, you know, they think they're right here with me, but then as we check in and we go deeper, they have not yet consciously tuned in to the energies in their body. Because when you get triggered, when you have emotions that come up, when you're really in it and tuned into it, you know exactly where it is. You can point to it in your body and say, ooh, there's tightness right there in my chest or in my throat. Okay, and if you're not there, you can get there. It just takes some time. It takes some attention, bringing your attention in, because your mind has convinced you, it's basically created like an energetic barrier to keep your attention out of there so you don't have to feel it because it's so uncomfortable. But since you're not feeling it, that's what you end up stuck. You end up in a life where you feel like you're caged, where you're not living your dreams, where you're not alive, where you're not vibrant, where you're not your full self, and you don't know what your purpose is. Okay, so I'm here to help you find your purpose, and it's in your heart, and you can do it. And I'm so here with you. Well, it's just starting to get dark here in Boulder, just kind of overlooking the city over there. Love is the fuel that guides your journey, okay? Love for yourself. And you love yourself by being present with your feelings, being present with yourself. And you be present with yourself Your attention is how you be present. You bring your presence. You and your attention are essentially the same. Wherever your attention is, that's where you are. You know, like if you're talking to someone and you're like, "Are you there?" If they seem like they've drifted off, it's because their attention has gone somewhere else. So you know, like they're not there with you. So your attention, okay? Learn to wield it. Learn to bring it into your body. Learn to navigate your body and feel what's there when you experience discomfort, when you experience conflict. And that is, when you get tuned into that uncomfortable energy and you start to become conscious of it, you have found essentially the portal to your full, complete, best self that will shine brighter and brighter and brighter as you feel through those feelings. It's very simple conceptually and super, super challenging to do. But you can do it, and I'm here to encourage you and say, yeah, you got it, you got it, you got it. Be yourself, be fully you, and know that you are good to your core, and it's going to come shining out of you. So I'm so excited for you. If you're here with me now, take a breath. You are alive. You are free to be you. Your fears will start to dissipate. Everything will start to change, and it takes time. It doesn't happen quickly. It takes years, okay? But don't let that discourage you. It's each moment by moment, each choice. Like they say in Vanilla Sky, which is a great movie with Tom Cruise and Penelope Cruz, they say each minute is a chance to turn it all around. But what I like better is each moment is a chance to turn it all around. So here's your moment. Bye.